Hi, I'm John Kim.
And I'm Buddy Wakefield. We're Two Non-Blondes and a podcast dedicated to probably awful people just trying to get shit right.
Buddy's gonna open each week with a poem that doesn't suck to set the table for all of us to put our cards on it.
And John will stay numb to his feelings but open to discourse.
Quick disclaimer, this unedited podcast never gets in the way of an episode going wherever it wants to go.
Having pushed panic buttons and pedal metal down the throats of freeways and crashed like heavy glass ashtrays into our own homes broadside with department store force and a gas can, distended stomachs, and all of God's holes, having shown off our momentum for yawning as a clever way to denigrate deeds of kindness, having created enough minimum wage faith to distract orphans from the exit rows, then thrown holding pattern parties in their honor only to present each other with our own names on gold plaques, bolted to a fountain of toll booths, used to get dressed up on our go, and gone uninterrupted by the signs that serve to encourage calming down. It is good to know I have finally been loosening my grip on the expectation that our thumbs will necessarily oppose each other in the next life. There is a next life, and it is my understanding we will not necessarily be binge drinking bros wearing Greek lampshades, paying for friendships based on how pornographic our breath smells. I will not necessarily find myself rationalizing with computer gamers and overly polite customer service robots about how much life is lost on alternative realities or how much violence the peaceful consumer causes. The results of our language cannot be programmed. There is no proper way to hide the rampage with whom we have been banking. There are no words thick enough to conceal the transparencies in these stories I have crafted out of loopholes and nothing but net. The next life is being offered to us daily via live streaming satellite by entitled white rabbits and tragedy addicts dragging their fingernail file cabinets across records of the damage my nerves have done. Don't do that. Inglorious preachers of a sensational game. Sensations and games are at the root of why we are walking so inefficiently. Warped 45s with a credit card swagger, charging up a sad path like Ray Charles, singing 7 Spanish angels to the bottom of the barrel in broad daylight. Stop congregating in the valley just because an echo sounds good when it agrees with itself. A trajectory of misery at this point seems intentional. We have all the information we need to see clearly. We are no longer toddlers on the landscape of consciousness. It is no longer cute to crap ourselves. Get the sticky off your buns and roll with me. There's no need for a night guard if it is still allowing your jaw to pulverize the truth, y'all. The truth is, here it is, we feel fine right now. We are a point of complete, not a soundtrack to the next life. The future gets no say in who we are. Thank you, some of you, for laughing at the joke earlier about sticky buns. That was sweet. This is nuts. Optional. Listen, having listened to the parentheses of passive aggression and made far too much bracket in response, incriminating ourselves as sucker punches and sucker fish, soaker hoses, and preying on the dead weight of fashion-forward food for overpopulation, having inflicted the most amount of pleasure with the least harm done and called it progress, I am still, without fail, eligible to remind us that there is a reason the future gets so agitated by our advances. We are not built to barge ahead of ourselves and fast forward on a flat fifth wheel made out of spokespeople for progress who fly off the handle whenever anyone taps the brakes. Throw it and park. Gauge the pressure. Renunciation is not a frigid concept. It is okay to abandon the tackle practice of having and crashing through the circuit board of carrier pigeons carrying torch carriers over an orchestra of strung out 16th notes composed on a matchstick that struck out and broke off but did not burn up if the future keeps finding us in these uncomfortable positions. They might mistake us for honest before honest is actually true. How honest is it that we drink until we are dehydrated if my throat turns to carbonated leather and you hang me like a lucky foot from the rearview mirror while barreling down the freeway, toll booth after toll booth, in a heavy glass ashtray, wondering how the hell it is freeways got to be so goddamn expensive, remember this. The white rabbit is said to be a symbol of human beings who are pompous and belittling toward anything they deem less valuable than themselves, yet they grovel to accommodate anyone from whom they stand to gain. To what end are you gaining? I'm not speaking to our governments. I'm speaking to the way we govern ourselves. Make your stopwatch live up to its name. We are not late for an important date. What we have simply shown up too early for the next life and forgot that the future doesn't want us to arrive. It knows that if we do, it dies. As if people on stilts really need you to offer them more gravity.
Woo!
My goodness, John. There's a reason we picked that one this week.
What was the catalyst? I was going to ask you, what was the catalyst for that poem? You said 3 reasons. What were they? What are they?
Last week you asked if you could call me Sticky Buns as a nickname, and I preferred Sunny Buns, but Sticky Buns was actually a mention in this poem I wrote in 2013, and I knew you wouldn't believe me, so I just had to pull it out. There's 2 other reasons. Another one is yesterday, day before yesterday, one of my best friends, Andrea Gibson, told me that we create joy, and I thought it was the most mundane, boring line of inspiration I'd ever heard in my life. But I was walking down the street and Willie Nelson and Ray Charles' 7 Spanish Angels came on. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me what playlist it was in, but it did. And I began, when I thought about how we create joy, this song was playing and there's a lyric in it that says, if you take me back to Texas, you won't take me back alive. And I began to walk faster, my whole flesh goosed, and I was generating joy intentionally, and knowing how far I've come since fucking Texas, growing up gay in the South, and I was just generating. I've been generating joy since Andrea and I had that talk. No matter how many times I ever heard that phrase, it's stuck. And the last reason is because of today's touchy subject of the day. That looks prompted, but it's not. But it is the 3rd reason. In here we say the white rabbit is said to be a symbol of human beings who are pompous and belittling toward anything they deem less valuable than themselves, yet they grovel to accommodate anyone from whom they stand to gain. And today what we're talking about on our touchy subject, John, is who you are when no one's looking.
Yes.
How you treat people when no one's looking, how you treat yourself when no one's looking, the way you behave. Whew, that was a mouthful. That was 10 minutes of mouthful. Not that I've not had that before, but let's...
I hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll see you next week. And buddy, thank you. Hey, I want to rewind because you touched upon a subject that is that resonates with me. But before, I just want to say, can you remind me about 6 minutes in to take the quarter of this blue pill? Because on our Google Doc, Vanessa and I have intimacy time, and I'm 49. And sometimes it takes a quarter of a pill. I don't need the whole pill. It's too much. Just a quarter. It's like having someone in the stands at a.
Whoa!
It's
that was so much. I had. Do you know how long it took me to piece together what's even starting to happen right now?
What's
so you guys have sexy time after our podcast. Well, I'm just now understanding what's happening. You need me to remind you 6 minutes into the podcast to take a quarter of a Viagra. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, because it takes 30 minutes to kick in, and if I don't time it right, then because right after that we have to go pick up our daughter, and so I said to myself, I made a promise to myself many years ago that I would never be in a relationship where we would schedule sex, because it's not romantic and it's stupid, and who does that? I don't want to be that couple. What are we, 85?
You got a kid.
Well, guess what we're doing now? We're scheduling. It's in the Google Doc, buddy. And so I just
do not have sex in your Google Doc right now. Please tell me you at least got that one committed to memory.
It's in the Google Doc. It has everything. Well, it's not a doc. It's the Google Calendar. That is our. Without that, everything collapses like a house of cards. So
in more ways than one.
Just remind me, buddy.
I'm reminding you right now. Take 1 quarter. By the way, I'm impressed that you've only got to take a quarter.
I'm 49, man.
I'm 48, and I'm taking the whole thing. I don't want to chance. I don't want to chance anything. I just when he says what milligrams, I'm just like, give me the best you got, doc. I'm not gonna test it around. I don't want to show up. I don't want to risk showing up not present. So just
Now,
give me whatever you got.
for you, does it sometimes work and sometimes not work, or does it work every single time?
Well, I don't think I'm the fair person to answer because I mix drugs and sex so long together that sometimes
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I think
When
it's
I'm
placebo.
sober, when I'm sober and I've got the right stuff, I think it works for me most of the time when I'm sober. But because I was such a chemsex guy, it took a long time to. Yeah, this is not that episode. We are
Way bird walking. But anyway, speaking of,
Wait,
okay, buddy, hold on. You went.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself right now, but you'll see me vanish for 2 seconds while I run to the frigorifico and grab a water. That's Portuguese for refrigerator. Hold on.
What I wanted to talk about was this idea of producing joy, and it lands for me because I think it's an ability. And not most of my life, maybe half my life, I used to be miserable, and one of the reasons was I didn't have this ability. I lived in dread and worry. That was my state daily. And so to produce joy, it takes effort, it takes intention. I think it takes a daily practice. And so when Buddy's friend, Andrea Gibson, also another very talented poet, said, you got to produce joy. What was her quote?
Their quote. Well, I think they were just quoting somebody else because they read a bunch of fantastic, helpful books such as The Untethered Soul and The Power of Now and things like that. And so they just truly believe that you can create your own joy.
Yes.
And
yes.
I mean, in what we do, everyone says that, but it stuck the other day.
Hey, by the way, The Power of Now is one of your favorite books, so don't talk shit about that book.
A New Earth is my favorite.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's also, by the way, it's also Oprah's. Just throwing it out there. May also share a birthday with. I'm gonna mute.
Let's get to the touchy subject. It's a good one. It's a good one. And the touchy subject today is, who are you when no one's watching? Buddy, I'll go first. I'll say a few things, and then I'll hit the ball to you. And also, please, in the room, can you put in the chat, everyone, who are you when no one's watching? Who are you behind closed doors?
Like specific examples.
Yes. And I believe that it doesn't make you inauthentic if you are different when you're alone. I think it just makes you human, I think there's this misconception about authenticity, meaning it has to be like consistent across the board every moment of your life. And, unless you're Jesus or Buddha we're human, right? So when I'm alone, I am inconsistent. I am reactive. I am impatient. I am in my head often. When I'm alone, I dip into lower frequencies. I worry. I have some dread, and many times I snap back. I snap back to who I used to be before, my hero's journey. And all that happens, but all that happens less than when it did 10 years ago, right? I just don't live there. That's the difference. Buddy, who are you? Who are you when you're alone?
Boy, you came with such a succinct answer, and I just came with like
Don't judge your answer. This is not a performance, buddy.
I just came with splatter paint.
Yeah.
I want to say first, I have felt most in my life, and what's also been the source of my problem. And serendipity is my superpower. I have most felt in my life like the White Rabbit, where I have often given a shit less about what I deem less valuable than the situation and grovel to accommodate anything I think is going to advance me. And what I mean by that is if I'm showing up to a party or friends or we're at dinner, wherever, I'm coming with a smile on my face. Mm-hmm. If I've got to go through TSA or talk to somebody at my health insurance company, I remember one time having a great time with some friends, and I left, and there was someone giving me a ticket parking enforcement. And I have been awesome to everybody all night. We've been talking about the good stuff and the things that make us better people and all that. And I abandoned ship. I completely lost myself. And I said, hey, do you know that you ruin people's day for a living? Not having any idea who that person was, why they had to take that job.
Right.
But just the shittiest little uppercut from me to them that no one would ever see. That's some two-faced bullshit right there. And I've done the same thing at TSA. I have been in my life. I have been a total piece of shit with TSA people trying to do their job. Now,
I've never seen this side of it.
A lot of it's an assumption of who they're being and the kind of job they took and what it takes to want that job. But it's not on me. My job, what's on me is to walk my talk. And you and I both know I prefer to aim in the trajectory of things that are gonna make this world a lighter place. And it doesn't happen with me being a dense asshole half the time.
This is a great reminder because the parking enforcement people, I think, because it's very, very easy for us to be kind to servers and busboys and people of service, but when it comes to the parking enforcement person, especially if they're writing us a ticket, we all turn into assholes. I mean, we come at them with karate kicks and shit, you know? And I feel bad for them because that's their job and they have to face that every day. I mean, speaking of worry and dread, imagine what it's like for them to get up every morning and go to work knowing that people are gonna, you know, possibly assault them.
Unless they're narcissistic sadists who actually enjoy it. We don't know though. and I'm not allowed, I don't feel comfortable asking. I think some people actually enjoy those jobs. I genuinely do. But that's not for me to decide how I'm to treat them. It's if I'm going to treat, people, when I walk into a room, and this is just something I've noticed from being me for 48 years. People expect to smile or to laugh or to feel at ease in some regard. And I can't do that 24 hours a day. Mm-hmm. It costs a lot.
Yeah.
And my energy engine cuts off the moment I'm alone. And in fact, it cuts off most with the people I'm most comfortable around with. My friends, my dearest friends, my 100%ers, my closest friends in my family, they know when I'm out of energy. They know when I'm out of steam. And I have resting bitch face, and most people don't know it. I can't be bothered to smile. I can't be bothered to lift my face. And I would love to be able to strike more of a balance as time moves on, so that it's a more realistic expectation both from myself and from others of how I present.
Yeah, I hear sometimes about the people that are always, not just here, but I experience people that are just always joyful. I actually feel like you're that way, always a beacon of lights, never really see, throwing chairs or being angry. And I always get jealous because most people that don't know me think I'm an asshole, because I also have resting bitch face. I've got these two, I call them marky marks, these two furrows, and I just always.
That's what I call my underwear.
And I'm also very. People don't know this. I'm introverted. I can be extroverted, but I'm a very pensive, introverted, quiet guy that likes to be alone a lot. And so when I'm out in public, especially if someone approaches me because they follow me online or something, I get weird, man, and then I feel shitty about it. But
because they know you intimately and you can't give that back.
Yeah.
Or
in that moment, I can't give them back. But if you know me and you see that my humor is dry and I am a certain way, then you're like, oh, okay, there's something behind that. But it takes time to see the person behind that, Yeah,
I do know. I'm working with a sponsor, as some of you know, and not one that's paying me to do commercials. One that's calling me out. One that's just calling me out on all my shit. And
how many days have you been sober?
Oh, John Kim, we had that vulnerable episode already, and I thought we could.
We don't have to go there. I'm just doing a little touching
right.
base. I'm just doing a little touching
right.
base. Just say a number and we move on. We're not going to go there.
Okay, well, are we talking alcohol? Say yes. Say yes. We're talking about alcohol.
Okay, alcohol. Yes.
1,067 days.
Holy shit! Good for you. All right, so you have a sponsor.
Thank you so much for skipping the rest of them.
Yeah, and thank you for the reminder. Speaking of producing joy.
Yeah.
Fuck her.
I tried to remind you right at the beginning.
If you're listening, I just dropped a quarter of a Viagra pill because sex has been scheduled right after this. Okay, go on, buddy.
I'm gonna start hallucinating. So the fifth step, which took me 2.5 years to get to the first time, and since I've had to reset, since I've had to hit the reset button, it took me 3 weeks. But I'm coming up on it, which also just outs my sober time. But the fifth step is admitting admitting the exact nature of my wrongs, and I couldn't be more excited about that, because I thought that's what I've been doing all along through writing and through everything else. But it turns out I've just been telling myself a lot of stories to sound vulnerable and feel vulnerable. And I can't say that I've unearthed the exact nature of my wrongs, but I am excited that the book that I'm working through and the sponsor are helping me pin it down in ways that I didn't see coming. And and they're not trying. They're just saying what they see. There's just a lot of experience looking at me and going, no, that's not actually what's happening here, buddy. And it brings up for me. So I think the exact nature of my wrongs lies within what the subject is today. The difference between how people perceive me and how I am when no one's looking. It's also the screenplay that I've been writing right now, tentatively. All right, this is dibs on the name you're going to hear. Don't try and take it because it's already being written. The Armageddon Lemonade Stand, and I'm really excited because the whole script explores the difference between who I am when people are watching and who I am when they're not. I mean, it's based on my own experiences. It's obviously going to be a fictional character with poetic license, able to just go balls wall and everything. But boiling it down further, I do want to bring it back to the point that was being made in the poem and at the beginning, is that I do believe people really have to look at the white rabbit nest that shows up in everything nowadays. I mean, with few exceptions, where people, to varying degrees, are pompous and belittling toward things they deem less valuable than themselves, and they grovel to accommodate anyone from whom they stand to gain. It's at a gross level. In a macro way, I have enough faith in humanity that there are a ton of people who aren't as extreme as that definition, but to some degree I think we fall on either side of that line, and I just want to call attention to it. If there was ever a time to, this is the platform I have to do that. I just want everybody to check out how much they show up as a white rabbit. I know for me it's been to an alarming degree, an embarrassing degree, and I'm really thankful to have the friends and people around me to call me out on it and to admit the exact nature of my wrongs so that I can actually dissolve and get past it. I want to say one more thing, John, if I may. I don't know how much this does or doesn't have to do with it, but it came up today earlier. While I'm sitting here calling everybody out, I know there are obviously things that contribute to us growing into behaving in those ways. And I remember seeing a therapist one time, just once, and she said to me the strangest question. I wish I had it verbatim, but it was something like, so what was the trauma? Like, can you pinpoint the trauma? I was fucking annoyed, and I said, the whole thing was the trauma. Front to back. I don't remember the time when there wasn't trauma. Were you listening? And I know that all of us are doing the best we can possibly do. And when we do walk into a room full of friends and we are able to pull together that smile, it's not an ought, and it doesn't mean you're fake just because you're not that way all the time. You're giving it the best you got. And I'm just here to say to myself and hopefully some other folks, I really hope that I can start, even more so, remembering to conjure that up before I talk to the health insurance woman on the phone, or anybody that seems inconsequential, that is a real person and having a rough fucking time too. Right now more than ever.
Yeah, I love that message, buddy. And just a reminder, especially with what's happening in the world and all the rage and anger and resistance, man, just to go back to be kind to people, you know? I think that's a great reminder. And if you were or if you are a white rabbit, I'm gonna say I'm a yellow sheep, because I was a follower most of my 20s, especially when I was a screenwriter, exchanging a lot of my truth for membership. And the reason why I'm a yellow sheep is because I went rogue, and because I started to, do things that wasn't in the kind of what you should do as a 35-year-old, or as an Asian, or as whatever, right? And so doing that, man, that was the game changer that made me connect to myself and allowed me to produce more joy in my life. But anyway, hey, what if we end with confessions? What if we end with
let's do that. I love that idea, especially if you're headed for that for the audience. But I want to say one more thing before we run that out.
Of course.
If you remember, I wanted this to be the very first touchy subject, but I want to bring caffeine into this.
Yeah.
This seems, I think, everything has to do with everything. There's a point of connection in everything. If you haven't seen Daniel's new film, Everything Everywhere All at Once, you have to. But I genuinely believe
Caffeine's the problem.
It's the fucking problem, y'all. Everything speeding is bad. Now, somebody told that to me. That's not my statement in this life. But I haven't been able to disprove it quite yet. Everything speeding is bad, and by bad it just sort of leans toward the negative sphere of things. Everything speeding. And I never knew why I hated this life so much growing up, beyond the fact that I was gay, until I realized, having never had caffeine, that all you motherfuckers are on caffeine. All of you. It's madness. I couldn't keep up. This life was just leaving me in the dust. And now that when I work out, I have some, and it throws me for a loop. But I've noticed, here's where I'm at with it. Lately, I've had a shit ton of caffeine to try and keep up as I'm in recovery, and I don't want to dick around right now. I really want to I want to run as fast as I can to the light. I'm trying to keep it all in balance, but I know if I don't have some sort of motivation beyond my own stuff that I've been remotivating with for years, I might have to slog it out too much. And so right now I am utilizing caffeine and trying to keep that in balance. Also, my body is replenishing with carbs like a motherfucker. And so I noticed in the last couple of days, I've had so much caffeine and basically pizza dough running through my body. I have become an aggro shithead over the smallest things. And I just want to point out, as we talk about kindness and we talk about how we show up, to not neglect the things that may lend to us behaving that way. I think it's really important, because you and I usually touch on some sort of metaphysical or we take things one step farther just to give a little insight on what might cause this. And for me, I want to just point a finger in that direction as an awareness. If there's the whole hungry, angry, lonely, tired thing. There's also, are you fucking speeding your mind out in grips of caffeine and shitty food? Cause this behavior.
That's a great reminder. I agree with you. I'm someone who spends north of $300 a month on very expensive, overpriced coffee. I have like 4 cups a day. A cup of coffee for me is a pour over. It's like $9. So I'm definitely someone.
I hate your texts.
What's that?
This is why I hate your texts.
Exactly. But I agree with you in that I'm not going to stop drinking coffee because going back to joy, it is nectar for me. But I do agree with you in that the world is caffeinated and we are all running fast, me included. So a lot of times I'll drink coffee, but it'll be decaf, and I will just drink it because I like the taste of coffee. Also, if you want to run to the light, by the way, buddy, the light's behind you. So if you turn your camera that way, we could actually see your face because you're always backlit.
Is this another coaching? Is this another coaching about how I set up because I always do the lighting wrong?
No, this is just me trying to be funny. It's a dad joke. Buddy, let's end with, I don't know if the word confessions is too strong, but I love how you, when you started this episode, said, you know what, man, I was a dick to the person that wrote me the ticket or was trying to give me a ticket because my meter ran out.
I said to them, you ruin people's day for a living.
Yeah, which is hurtful.
And I thought that was okay.
Right. What are some confessions in the room if you want to just type in so it makes everyone feel less alone? And as you do that, I want to read some other things when we're talking about what you do alone and how you're different. Someone wrote, I used to be drunk when I was alone, like almost always, and I don't miss that. When I'm alone, I can be fearful. I am my most authentic self when I'm alone. Well, that's kind of interesting because sometimes people alone are very authentic, but out in public they may not be. I'm not saying this is you, but that's also a thing, right? I am worrisome, and when I'm alone, the real me when I'm alone, learning to take out public. What the hell is me? Like me or don't. I don't know. I think I wrote that. I'm usually at war with myself when left to my own devices. Man, who can't relate to that one? I feel the same way, John. You just worded it so much better than I would. Just anxious. I do feel it's a good time to sit with my feelings and work through them. Thank you. Okay, now going back to this idea of confessions. Does anyone have any as we end? I'm trying to think of some myself. You know what? I've been really impatient with people, and also you, buddy. And you know, texting. By the way, texting, you can't gauge. It's not an accurate form of communication. And also there's a huge time difference that I forget. And so sometimes I'll text Buddy and Buddy will text back, it's fucking 2 a.m. here. I'm not good at math. I don't think about where you are. I still assume you're in LA. I know you're in Portugal. But I definitely need to be kinder to people because I don't want to be the do as I say, not as I do kind of guy.
Well, wait just a second. Let's back up here and talk about you being upset with me or impatient with me, because anything I've said about you, I'm just joking. I don't ever really dislike.
I'm never upset with you, buddy. Never. I can be impatient with a lot of people, including Vanessa. I can be impatient with.
I've never seen you be impatient.
I can be. I used to be a steamroller. I took the quarter of that blue pill because I could be impatient with my penis. See,
are you wicked hard right now?
No, it doesn't work. Another dad joke. Yeah, I that's my confession, you know, and it's something that I'm realizing, and I'm glad you brought this up because I'm going to, for the rest of the week, really try to be patient and kinder to people in general. I think we are assholes to people that we love more than strangers, and I think we should be aware of that as well, you know.
My confession, thank you, John.
Hey, real quick, someone says I've engaged in reckless addictive behaviors, and thank you for that confession. Many have, right?
Yeah. To say the least.
Yes.
Fucking reckless is a nice. I'll take that word.
A fine line between reckless and producing joy.
Reckless and. Okay, so my confession is this. Because it's a big part of the script that I'm on right now, and I have yet to have to be forced to eloquently find the right words. But my shit is so I'm so angry when loneliness and anger and the little self-pity have enough time to kick it. I think terrible things can happen. I've been single for 8.5 years. I've learned to navigate the loneliness largely. I'm not rushing anything. I'm not getting desperate. Sometimes my reward system situation is fucked, which is why potential bad choices. But when anger gets in there, it can get terrifying. And then self-pity. And so where I'm going with this is that the confession is, I really like myself. I really love hanging out with other people. I love how people see me happy. I think I'm that way largely a lot of the time. But when I'm not, there's not a whole lot of in between. I shoot straight to fucking demon spawn. And no one sees this because I'm such a masochist. It usually happens to just myself, and I don't have the heart to take it out on others. Now, I am transparent, and people can see when I'm penetratingly unapproachable. But when I get home, it is I don't think it's an uncontained or Tourettic situation. I think I will hold it and I will try really hard, like, oh, buddy, please don't freak out, please. And then, but there have been moments in the last 2 years, especially struggling with addiction, where the best I could explain it the other day to a friend of mine was Rottweiler. And I don't want you to picture like a Rottweiler aimlessly, ripping around the house. Like, I'm talking about laying in bed on my back and the anger building up so much that I don't know what to do other than growl it the fuck out. And it is so visceral and real. I can only describe it as a pit bull or Rottweiler, the degree to which the anger lets itself out that way. And I've actually damaged my voice a couple of times doing it. Now, I don't mean to make it sound like it happens all the time, but it has happened 3 or 4 times. And I can, in my voice the next day, will be completely raspy because that's how I let it go. I think some people are like, they go to a retreat and they get each other to scream into pillows or have laughing things. And I find that to be an angle on forced fun or forced whatever. But for me, doing that by myself, that's my confession, is that it has been almost a demonic bark. Yeah.
I want to second what someone just chatted in the box or the room here, and he or she says that thank you for your honesty, buddy. So I really appreciate that. I wonder if it's also an artist thing. I know a lot of artists, musicians who maneuver in extremes and who go from gratitude and life is beautiful to what's the point of this all in a very short amount of time. So
really short amount of time.
Yeah, and I have my own version of that as well. So thank you for humanizing yourself, buddy, and of course, man,
you too.
Someone that cares about you and is a friend. It makes me sad, but it also I don't want to label it. It's just truth, right? Everyone, thank you for hanging out. If you enjoy this, tell a friend. We are here every Thursday at 12 o'clock PST. Always, Buddy starts with one of his poems, and then we get into it. And I was just gonna say that this podcast is a little weird, but you know what? It's not weird. It's just raw. I don't want to label it.
It's 0 to 120 pretty fast. We're not here to fuck around and talk about some boring shit.
Yeah,
And it's taken me, this is episode 6 now, it's taken me till 5 at least to realize, goddamn, this is it. Anybody can hear it. Everybody has access to all this nonsense. This is no longer, I'm no longer hiding anything. It's terrifying as fuck. I think it comes out of my mouth so easy sometimes just because of being on stage for 20 years with poetry. But you and I get into the intricate stuff that. Let me say that I love being a writer because I can edit myself. When I speak, I'm so fallible, and these podcasts have been testing my perfectionism and pushing it to the maximum. It is utter terror for me. You and I have agreed to at least 24 of these episodes, though.
Yes. I believe that this podcast for you, buddy, is a form of treatment in some way. I think there's something else happening with us doing this, and I think, of course, putting a black light to your perfectionism. But things are tipping because that 5 episodes was your runway, and now I see fearlessness in you. I see transparency. I see vulnerability. And I see you just being raw, which is actually bigger than you because the people listening, it's going to help them as well, right? So I'm excited. I'm excited about our future episodes because I don't know where they're going to go. What's interesting about me and Buddy, our magnets flip because we don't hit the ball back. We kind of just talk and take the football to the. If we played basketball, we would never pass the ball. We're just shooting and shit, right? And so it's
and I would yell at you.
Right. Well, it's like 10 minutes of Buddy talking and then 10 minutes of John talking and it's over. Anyway, thank you everyone for hanging out. And
hey, we've got some special guests coming up too. We want y'all to know, and also finding new ways to include those who. I know most of y'all just like to show up and be part of it, but I would really like to find more ways to incorporate you. I think we might get somebody to come in and just moderate, so that we don't have to watch the chat and try to carry on conversation the whole time, but somebody can come in and help get y'all involved too.
I would love engagement, and you could leave the video off if you want, but more than just a chat, actually having people speak and give us their revelations as well.
Awesome. Hey, thanks everybody.